welcome to Working Week. Today we'll be looking at why Nottingham's economy is doing so well.
We've seen a lot more businesses wanting to be in the city over the last couple of years. Some of our initiatives like the Creative Quarter project, for example, I think are ideas that have resonated.
And I'll be meeting the firm that makes special treats for dogs.
It's similar to a choux pastry, like a chocolate eclair, but it's made specifically for dogs with special ingredients. But I just love the look on people's faces when they see a donut for dogs.
And we'll be looking at the regeneration of a rural Nottinghamshire village.
I mean, this was it boarded up. It had to be boarded up because all the windows were smashed. This was the side of the building, that's where the coffee shop is now.
We came round here and it's been
amazing ever since, yeah.
And talking of looking at things, Des is sporting for the first time ever on telly a pair of glasses.
There we go.
Makes him look intellectual.
I am.
Hello, I'm Rob Pittham.
And I'm Des Coleman, and this week we're inside Hopkinsons Vintage Antiques Emporium, right opposite the station.
And I remember actually, Des, when this place used to be a DIY shop.
All right, what I can't believe is you did DIY.
No, I screwed up DIY quite a bit, yeah. But it's a big improvement, I think you'll find as well.
It certainly is. Now, you may have noticed we're inside. That's because the winter's getting colder. If you want us to film your business, get in touch.
Especially if it's a warm one. You can reach us news@workingweektv.com. This place, Des, absolutely bustling at the moment, and that's no big surprise because, as we've been reporting for the last few weeks, Nottingham's economy is doing pretty well. Helen McCulloch has been finding out exactly why.
Nottingham has a long history of textile manufacturing, and this factory in New Basford is keeping up the tradition. Kappa Tech, founded by husband and wife duo Catherine and Peter Strauss, is approaching its 20th year in business.
We are industrial and technical textiles manufacturers, and we supply to a range of industries including agriculture, healthcare and products going into the motor industry.
Peter's still involved in the business, but now his son Gabriel is in charge.
It was an unexpected journey from the start. Never expected to end up doing what we do and the way things have gone, and products we've got involved in now which we didn't do before, and how we've evolved has been a little bit haphazard and coincidental at times.
Now there are plans to expand further, after they successfully bid for a grant worth up to £64,000 from Nottingham City Council.
That's let us make certain investments in plant and equipment to take us into some new areas, upgrade certain bits of equipment, improve our processes and help us develop into new markets, new products, new customers and secure our employment.
There are also plans to take on up to 5 new employees. As the family business keeps moving forward, one former boss is hoping to get left behind. And what about the future? Where will Kappa Tech be in 5 or 10 years?
That's a question I think you need to ask more of my son, because at that time, hopefully, I will be well retired and enjoying the fruits of my labour.
Helen McCulloch reporting there, and Helen mentioned in her report that Nottingham City Council is trying to help small businesses grow here in the city. Let's find out a few more details about what that involves. With me now is Councillor Nick MacDonald, who's the portfolio holder for Jobs and Growth in Nottingham. And Nick, we saw Kappa Tech then. Is that the kind of firm you're helping?
Well, it is. I mean, Kappa Tech is one of a number of firms that we've helped through a variety of means, grant funding, support on building their workforce, because we've identified in our economic strategy that actually small businesses that are going to make the difference in Nottingham.
So how do you help people? Is it finance, is it cash, is it advice? What kind of things do you do then?
It's a whole host of things. I mean, there is cash, so we have a grant fund that is matched with private sector investment, has to be. It's not free money in the sense that we just give it to businesses. There's a lot they have to do, not least create jobs in order to draw down their money, but it's an important scheme. It's made a big difference. We've created over 1,000 jobs from that scheme alone. We also support the creation of apprenticeships and jobs. We have a Nottingham Jobs Fund, apprenticeship grants that we've been giving out, and we have business support programs as well that we're running. So it's a whole host of things. We think they're working. Certainly the way our local economy is growing compared to other areas of the country suggests that the case, but there's a long way to go. I mean, we're coming out of a recession. There's still some pretty difficult issues in the economy.
Now, you might remember on last week's show we were featuring this place, the Mad Hatter's Tea Room here in Kimberley, and whilst we were there our eye was caught by another business across the road. That's this one. It's Mrs. Bishop's Doggie Deli, and as the name implies, they make treats for dogs, and we thought that was quite intriguing. We promised to come back and take a look, so here we are. It's a new site on the high street, not just in Kimberley, but across the country. The Doggie Deli was one of the first businesses in the UK to offer healthy, handmade food for poochers. After 3 years selling online, the business opened its first high street shop in January. Well, meet the luckiest dog in Nottingham. This is Bryn, and he's a wolfhound, as you can see. He's actually almost half the size of me and Alan. Alan's his owner. Alan also runs the shop. And Alan, it wasn't actually Bryn that inspired the business, was it, though? Tell me how it started.
No, it was my sister-in-law's dog. He had a heart condition, and the vet recommended no added salts or sugars to any of his food or treats. And while my sister-in-law was quite happy to make him these plain foods and add vegetables and things to it, we thought it was unfair because there was nothing that he could actually have as a treat style. So my wife, who's an excellent baker, said, well, I'm sure I can come up with some recipes. So did a bit of research, looked into what they can and can't have, and it all blossomed from there.
Everything's made to appeal to owners as well as the dogs, but despite the appearances, there are no sugary treats to be had here. Well, Paula is the main baker, or Barker, I think you call yourself, inevitably.
Certainly, yeah.
Paula. So what are you doing at the moment?
I'm making our cheesy grins, which are one of our smaller dog biscuits.
So these are bone-shaped, but what's actually in them then?
They're actually made with flour, which we source from Green's Windmill in Snanton. There's cheese, parsley, mint, to keep dogs' breath fresh, and eggs, which we also source from Watnall, which is about 2 miles from us.
So you've got flour, cheese, parsley and these. What else do you use? What other ingredients?
We also use free-range chicken when we can get it to make a chicken base. I don't want to go too much into the what else we use in them because there's some secret ingredients.
Secret ingredients. And how have you come up with these recipes? How have you researched it? What's it all based on?
It's based on original biscuit recipe I made for my sister's dog, which was a chicken biscuit, and the recipe is basically built around that. I've just tried different ingredients, obviously years of research into what's good and bad for dogs, and just testing them out, see if they bait well and how they work.
Alan and Paula have built up a steady stream of customers. Today's visitor, the Reverend Barbara Hopwell, was the first person ever to shop here.
Well, sit then. Good boy. What about one of those? Peanut butter one.
The ingredients are good. We're giving him treats that aren't going to mess him up.
Oh, they're new. One of those is new, isn't it?
And also it's a local business, so we need to support them. And it's just something a bit different, isn't it?
Thank you very much. What we've got. Come on then.
And how does the dog feel about it?
Oh, he loves it. He loves going in there. He can't wait to get in. As far as he's concerned, if you walk down here, you have to turn left and into the Doggie Deli. He's very disappointed when it's closed.
And what's his favourite?
His favourite, he likes the cheesy ones. He has the little munchy biscuits before he goes to bed every night, and he sits and waits for me to get that out before he goes on his bed.
But he's pining to get in there now, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He wants to be in there and see what's happening.
Wait. That's a good boy.
But even making food for dogs attracts red tape these days. The shop is regularly inspected for hygiene, and all of its products have to be approved by the Department for Farming and Rural Affairs. It's a serious business, cooking for dogs.
Even though it's human ingredients, it's make sure there's no salts in it, no sugars, no additives, no colourants, nothing that can actually damage a dog. So things like onions are toxic to dogs. Macadamia nuts, they're toxic as well. So you have to make sure that everything is suitable and not going to harm the dogs at all.
And what's the favourite thing that you bake then?
Oh, my favourite to make is the doggy donuts. I just love the, because it's similar to a choux pastry, like a chocolate eclair, but it's made specifically for dogs with special ingredients. But I just love the look on people's faces when they see a donut for dogs.
And there's no sugar in it or anything?
No, no sugar, no colourants. I use natural, like strawberries or beetroot for colouring. So there's nothing artificial at all.
As well as the shop, the couple sell their food over the internet and travel to dog shows and events around the region, slowly building up a completely new market. I know it's a very novel business, but at the end of the day, it's still a small business startup, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices, don't you, to make it work. Well, what's it like for you? How difficult is it?
It's been hard because whatever profits we make has to go into the shop. We're bootstrap funded, so we've got no grants or any outside income. We can't get bank loans or anything because basically It's so unusual, banks shy away from it. And the saddest thing is when people say, oh yeah, are there any jobs going? We'd love to, but we can't even pay ourselves a living wage.
And with little interest from the banks, the business is now looking to raise funds from crowdsourcing, offering products and discounts to investors willing to put in anything from a £5 to £500, with the money being used to buy a van to promote the Doggie Deli brand even further afield.
Okay, I'm going to take it nicely. Good boy. Is that nice?
I must say, Des, I'm enjoying this indoor filming lock. It's a big improvement, isn't it?
It's great, isn't it?
Something kind of warm and comfy about this. And if you want to find out more about Hopkinsons, where we are today, we've got a special report on this place in next week's programme. But coming up after the break, we'll be taking a look at the regeneration of a Nottinghamshire village.
I think we've just been lucky. We've been lucky to buy this, and because we've made it look nice, it is the main part of the village, and it's cheered everybody up.
And?
Yeah.
Go on. Take it away.
I'll take it away.
Take it away, Four Eyes.
Yeah, thanks a lot, mate. And we'll be looking at the woman that advises other women around the world on how to get on in business.
Don't worry, they'll cut that bit out, the Four Eyes bit.
I think women are notoriously bad at charging their worth, and we often look at what we think somebody can afford.
All that's to come. See you in a short while.
And welcome back. And in this part of the programme, we'll be looking at the regeneration of a Nottinghamshire village.
Oh, it was pretty dreary and run down. It was depressed. It was very depressed.
Everything was a gamble, really. The whole thing was a gamble, but it has paid off.
Now we've got many more shops open. It's worth people coming here for the day.
In this half, we've got a bit of a rural theme.
A what?
Rural.
Oh, very nice.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Because Rhiannon Meehan has been out to see the Nottinghamshire village of Tuxford, which was looking, Des, and I know it quite well, a little bit down in the mouth a few years ago, but it's suddenly been transformed.
I'm at Tuxford Village in North Nottinghamshire, and it didn't always look like this. In fact, as recently as 5 years ago, it was a run-down ghost town, and it's taken the whole community to regenerate it and build it back up again. And one lady in particular was at the heart of that regeneration.
This is this building as it would have been when it was a coach stop. He's very good with his horses and great with his light effects.
Sally Mitchell is a one-woman regeneration programme, an art dealer and a fine art publisher. She'd long had her eye on the former Newcastle Arms coach house in the middle of Tuxford, and when it became available, she moved in to buy it. So what made you invest your time and money in a run-down old building in a ghost town?
Probably because I'm mad. I've always loved the building, and we had a couple of little galleries in the village anyway. It's quite near home, and we always thought this would make a great gallery. And so when the opportunity came, I mean, we only knew 2 days before it came up in auction that it was on the market. It was a real panic sale, and I mean, we bought it for a pittance. Had to spend a lot of money on it since, but...
It's a little over a year since the Newcastle Arms was reopened, and already it's thriving again.
We've left the part of it for the coffee shop and part of it for the beauty parlour, and we've built a museum of the horse upstairs, which has been my passion for years.
Can't wait for you to show me around.
Yes, by all means.
Go see what you've done with it.
Yes. Come and see the painting room. This is where all the originals are shown.
Oh, I love that. Are they goats or sheep?
I don't know. They're lop-eared, whatever. Our business has several sides to it, really. We deal in original paintings, I have done for years. We also publish. We publish limited edition prints and greeting cards, and we have a gift range. We have 5 or 6 artists who work entirely for us as far as publishing goes. This is a charitable thing, my museum. I've been a collector all my life, and they're rare things, they're difficult things to find, and people love to look at them. It gives me so much pleasure to see people fascinated by them. And I was very lucky that the building was so big, we could afford to do this up here. We've got 1/3 of the building left still to restore internally. It would be very nice to develop that.
We'll hear more from Tuxford in a short while, but first let's stay with the rural theme and look at how modern connectivity is coming to the Nottinghamshire countryside. A green box on a street corner here in Bunny. Might not look very much, but this is actually part of an online revolution. It's part of a scheme to bring high-speed broadband right across rural Nottinghamshire, a project between the County Council and BT. Now, we mentioned this scheme last week and said we'd bring more details, so that's what we're going to do now. But at the end of the day, this is just a green box, and let's be honest, it's visually a little dull. So we thought we'd find something a bit more rural, a bit more attractive maybe as a backdrop for our interview. And let's find out a bit more now about how this whole thing is working. With me is Steve Henderson from BT. Hi, Steve. And
Hi.
We've got Councillor Diana Meal from Nottinghamshire County Council. And Diana, first of all, what's the council doing and why are you doing it?
Well, we're doing two things. One is we're putting some funding in to make up a package of £20 million in order to extend broadband, superfast broadband, to an additional 52,000 premises across the county. So that's increasing the coverage from something like 83% to 95% across the area.
Okay, thanks, Diana. And Steve, how does this actually work then? I mean, is it this like your Infinity thing that you roll out in cities? Is it something like that?
Indeed, it's superfast broadband. It's BT Infinity. It's all about the fibre infrastructure. So the fibre infrastructure brings high-speed internet access, high-speed infrastructure for over 100 different service providers to be able to offer services to the communities throughout Nottinghamshire. As Diana said, 95% of Nottinghamshire is going to get access to these superfast speeds of up to 80 megabits.
And that green box that we're choosing to ignore actually because it looks very boring, but that's very important. What actually is happening in there then?
So the green box is the heart of what's going on. It's an intelligent box, it's got electronics inside, it requires 240 volts as well as the fibre. So as part of this programme we're putting over 1 million metres of fibre across Nottinghamshire, linking up the exchanges to those green boxes, and then we connect to the existing copper infrastructure back to people's homes, and that gives them access at least disruption, best value for money for the local authority to maximise the coverage across the county.
And Diana, I guess I've got to ask you, I mean, we see all these stories about the County Council in a financial crisis having to save tens of millions of pounds. How can you afford this?
It was agreed a couple of years ago, so it's before the big crisis, but also I think how can we not afford it? Because we want to encourage companies to expand in this area. More companies employing more people and paying more rates makes good business sense as well for us.
So how do people sign up for it? How do businesses get onto this network?
They need to first of all find out when they're going to get the superfast broadband, and they can do that by going to our website. There'll be a schedule there. The programme just provides the capability for people to access superfast broadband. They've actually got to sign up with the provider to get it.
So you can expect to see these green cabinets sprouting up all over Nottinghamshire. The council reckons that by the end of this month, 11,000 homes and businesses will be connected to this new high-speed network. In fact, there's going to be 18 of these going into Tuxford by the end of this year. And that's where Rihanna is. Let's get back to her.
Sometimes all it takes is a spark. The renovation of the Newcastle Arms, the biggest building on Tuxford High Street, has brought new life to the village.
Fantastic.
Among the first to benefit from the rejuvenation is Chili Petals, set up by Lee Franklin and Emma Davis. The business started off as a flower shop and has grown slowly,
Check the amount, sweetheart, into your pen.
with coffee, cards and gifts being added to the operation. It began to thrive after moving into a corner of the refurbished Newcastle Arms.
The cards were the hardest thing for us to pick. Being florists, we like things even and matching sizes. And of course, cards come in lots of different shapes, sizes, and we found it really, really difficult. I think our card rep, we sent her into distraction quite a few times. This is the coffee shop. This is where it all happens, as the girls would say. This was one of our major investments. This was £4,000, and it took us 3 years to get to this stage. We started off with 2 tiny little Gaggia machines, and this was what we aimed to get, and this is the one.
Many of the customers are local people enjoying the buzz on a high street that's been through tough times.
I think that Tuxford has struggled over the last few years, but it's certainly on an upward turn now.
We saw it go derelict, it went downhill.
The hotel first.
And it was such a shame because it was very prominent at one time and it was very nice. And I think it was the centre of Tuxford really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it went downhill, so it was lovely to see it come back to life.
It was just sad to see it so derelict, and it's so lovely to see it as it is now.
It's been a remarkable transformation for Tuxford, and local businesses say the support of the community has helped them to get there.
We really wouldn't have survived if it wasn't for the local people of Tuxford. I mean, they've been phenomenal. They come in for a coffee, they come in for their cards.
Nearly
they
every
come,
day.
Well, they
Yeah,
come
they do.
here before they go to the towns.
Yeah.
And they all keep saying, you know, we've got to use you, we've got to use you. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And since Sally took this building on, it's just absolutely, Tuxford is just the place to come to.
There are still empty shops here, but Tuxford has the feeling of a place that got back on its feet by its own efforts. And this ancient coaching crossroads is drawing in the visitors once more.
Rihanna Meehan reporting there, and you might have noticed there's a lot of women, it seems, in Tuxford setting up in business.
And I'll tell you something, Rob, while Rihanna... I will tell you, while Rihanna was there, you know, while Rihanna was there, I will do that a third time, while Rihanna was there, she actually bumped into another woman who travels the world giving advice to other women who want to get into business.
That's worth saying again. While Rihanna was there. Here's Rihanna.
So I'm here with Sally Canning, who's been inspiring women all around the world, haven't you, Sally? Can you tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, I work with women to empower women to step into the greatness of who they are and to be seen, heard and honoured for who they are, and to bring their passion into their work and to rediscover parts of themselves that they've felt they've lost, and when they're stuck, to help women to get out of that place, to actually achieve the potential and what they can, all the possibilities that are there for them that they perhaps didn't even realise.
And do you feel that women actually need more help than men do in business?
I work with women because I like working with women. I have worked with women for a number of years, about 30 years actually. And yes, I think in business especially, women need to, or often want to, raise their self-confidence, to get past the barriers of why they're stuck, why they procrastinate, why they can't move forward in their business. And I help them to look at their limiting beliefs and the reasons and the excuses why that happens. And often that's about their conditioning as women, their expectations, and it's often about the limiting beliefs that they picked up along the way. We often don't realise our potential. I think we are governed often by families and our children, our expectations, our do women aspire to the great heights that men aspire to? Is this something that we're allowed to do for ourselves more than what's imposed upon us out there? So I work with women to raise those expectations.
Well, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed the show.
And don't forget, next week we've got a great report on this wonderful place, Hopkinsons. And Rob, did you like my glasses, mate?
I feel really bad about calling you Four Eyes, actually. I've got glasses. I'm going to wear mine next week.
Yeah, you do that.
We'll be like the two Ronnies.
No, we won't.
Don't know which one's which.
Well, it's good night from him.
And it's good night from me.